And Jonathan, hopefully we'll get to see your nice face. There you are. So in just a minute, I am very blessed. You know, Jonathan, it's very interesting. I was thinking about just how, you know, we've been great friends for a long time. And you were pretty much in my life, probably at the toughest, most difficult, you know, part in my life, which was, you know, 5 years ago. And I just want to thank you in advance for being there as a great friend to me. I remember being in Sarasota, and then being in, where was it, Fort Lauderdale at UPW.
That's it.
You just doing all of your wonderful magic, but mostly just being there as a great friend. And as Jeff always talks about, long-term relationships equal long-term success, and that's why we're on the call today. So a little bit about Jonathan, Dr. Jonathan Roberti. He's a doctor turned farmer, and Dr. Jonathan Roberti is a clinical practitioner, researcher, author, a celebrated speaker, consultant for over 15 years. He graduated with a doctorate in philosophy and in clinical physiology, psychology from Virginia psychology from West Virginia University, and he completed an extensive residency at the University of Florida Teaching Hospital, Shands Teaching Hospital. His clinical and practical interests include integrative medicine, plant-based nutrition. Are you really going to make me use these big words? Psychoneural.
It's all babble for just good stuff. Don't even go there.
But more than anything, I just am very grateful to have him in my life. He'll go through everything in his passion. He's really committed to growing, to join the growing movement, and he'll mention that as well. But Jonathan, here's a question I have for you. You can go into everything about the gardens, but it took me 17 years to say yes to your brother. For you, I think it's taken a little bit longer.
17 attempts or 17 years?
17 years of, as Jay Martin says, the Chinese water torture. So why now, and why does it just make sense to you now to really look at this with regards to building a business? So I'm going to start with that question.
Good question. Well, you know, I've been on the product, the capsules, for over a decade plus, and had been sharing that with folks in my clinical practice because, you know, good nutrition never goes out of style. And at the end of the day, I certainly was seeing results with people, but I started noticing some trends. And here's what it really boiled down to: whether a person was coming in with garden variety depression or anxiety or gut distress, or, you know, your mind and your body, there's such a big disconnect between that. And I knew the products worked, but the business at the time just wasn't really appealing to me. I was putting tons of customers on, people were happy, they were feeling good. It just was not right for me at the time. And life served me a curveball. I was hit by a drunk driver at over 60 miles an hour, T-boned, have 7 herniated discs in my back, sustained a traumatic brain injury, and really had to reinvent my life. And I said, you know, when you're spending more time in other doctors' offices than you are your own, then you need to check up from the neck up. Obviously, the sick care system's not working. I had to figure out a different way. I was 240 pounds, you know, completely inflamed. I knew the products worked. I knew I wasn't going to go back to the sick care system because I didn't believe in it. The business became right for me because the optics have changed, Lauren. I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot, that, you know, people are moving away from sort of business as usual, that, you know, this is as good as it gets. You go on a medication, not for a day or a week or a month. It's a lifetime now. And it's profits over people. And I did not want to be part of that system anymore. I did not want to be part of that. That's not why I went into the helping profession. I lost my identity as a result of that. So absolutely, for me, the business just made sense. Why? Because it's focused on prevention. It's focused on changing the optics of the conversation. to getting people out of my office and saying, look, I'm going to give you a toolbox of different things that you can use to enhance your overall health. And with that, whatever that looks like, you're going to be able to share that with other people. That's the best gift you can give me as a doctor, someone that's in the health profession. So it just made sense at the time.
Unmute my line because I'm here at the airport. So, Jonathan, I know that the big passion, with regards to you, is really about really getting those towers into schools. And so, could you share a little bit about what you've discovered over the past couple of years working with the towers, and what you're seeing in the explosion that you see happening with the towers as well? And then I'm going to let you just ramble about whatever it is that you're passionate about, and then we'll do Q&A.
Well, I've always been a seeker of truth, and I've totally been invested in our youth because the numbers are staggering, guys. I mean, I'm probably not telling you something that you don't already notice or realize, that when the CDC comes out and says this is the first generation of kids that will not outlive their parents, that die of obesity, that, soft signs of, cardiovascular disease are the norm in 12 and 13 years old. I've had colleagues go, Jonathan, this is the new normal. Not my world, it's not the freaking new normal. The new normal is where kids are healthy and happy and they're, coming to school full of energy. But we had to change the focus. Teaching kids like Steve Ritz, how to count is important, but teaching them what counts is also important. So using food as the focus is an absolutely brilliant way to teach about science or technology or engineering or working together, cooperation, responsibility, character development. I mean, when you think about a tower, it's a completely different conversation than capsule shapes and bars, because you look at this as a teaching tool. This is only going to elevate your game as far as a teacher or an academician or someone in the food service industry that says to me, Jonathan, I can't find produce this fresh. I can't source this kind of stuff. And if I can, it goes bad within 36 hours. So that question, the answer to it is pretty hard to answer because there was so many reasons, because people are starting to wake up, folks. If you haven't looked, take the blinders off, because the awakening is happening. People are realizing that they want cleaner food, they want cleaner air, and they want cleaner water. And they know that self-care is the new health care. If you're not in charge of your own self-care on a daily basis, if that's not part of your DMO, you got to check the gauges. And it really, because the tower is so user-friendly, especially for a guy like me, look, I kill cactuses in soil, but with this thing I can grow like I call myself a guerrilla gardener, because it's a no-fail system. It's an out-of-the-box experience that kids go, oh my God. I mean, here's an example. I'll go into a 6th grade class. I'll hold up a zucchini. We'll do, vegetable ID, 101. Hold up a zucchini, no idea what that is. I say, where does lettuce come from? They say a bag. Where do carrots come from? A tree. I mean, you wonder why kids are sick? So we've got to change, because the demands are changing and the optics certainly have changed, and the tower is definitely a door of entry that leads to a lot of hope. I mean, we talk about hope as a company, as individuals. You talk about hope and teaching from the ground up. When you've got parents get pulled into a school that they've never stepped foot into because their kids can't stop talking about this tower garden thingy and all the produce they grew, and they grew so much that they had to send it home to the parents. And I've got 15 parents calling me the next day going, hey man, thanks for all the basil that made some hell of a pesto last night. Or I really didn't know that arugula actually tasted like that. That's the power of the tower. People can smell it. They can taste it. They can feel, you can feel the difference. I mean, every morning I go out, I cut the chard, I cut this, the kale for my smoothie. Listen, do you not think it might make a difference in your health care? And I see a lot of people taking notes because there's some good stuff here. Do you not think that having a tower in your cafeteria at a school, just for some remote reason, might move the health needle, might change the culture at that school? The answer is yes, absolutely it will. Because, example, we had a third grade class that grew so much produce indoors. You know, it's 20 degrees outside, but that's not going to stop them from being healthy. I mean, look, you know, we're all about breaking down barriers, and that's what we lead with. You know, cold outside, let's grow inside. Better yet, let's grow right in the cafeteria so the food service people love it too. They're like, you're the best thing since sliced bread or roll-on deodorant. This is awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, not only are you getting the awesome produce right there from the source, but you're teaching in the classroom. You're using project-based learning. Now, I don't care if you use the lesson plans. I don't care how you go about it. People are always asking me, well, Jonathan, how do you get into the schools? How do you do it? What's the blueprint? If I told you my blueprint, it may not work for you. If you've never grown a garden yourself and you try to enter into a school, you may possibly have some challenges with that, which I'll get into, you know, as the call moves on. But I'll tell you what, there's been an explosion of growth with people and the young and the schools, and really creating those tower to table concepts.
And like you said, Jonathan, you know, it's taken you a while, right, to come, you know, to really find, you know, what it is that's got you passionate. But I know another thing that you're super passionate about is really about your brother. And a lot of people haven't seen the transformation of your brother, but really, you know, and we know you're passionate about the tower gardens, but now I know, especially because of what you've seen, because of the trio and complete, about your brother. And I'd love if you'd share a little bit about that, as well as why you know the conference is a must of all that you've seen over the past 30 years for your brother and the teams that he's helped to grow. So if you would touch on that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, and what a blessing. I mean, for those of you that haven't seen Jeff, my brother, here lately, get on Facebook after this call and give him a shout out, give him a thumbs up, give him a, you know, a kudos, because it's Jeff 2.0. I mean, he's done the Transform 30 not once, not 3 times. He's done the Transform 120. There's what you should be doing, and there's what you are doing. And I said, look, I don't want to put someone else in the ground at the end of the day. I mean, you know, so I created emotional leverage with him. We lost our brother Paul a couple years ago. We lost our father at the age of 47 of a heart attack. They said our DNA doesn't have to be our destiny, buddy. You know, I went from 240 to 190. I was eating vending machine lunches and working 60-hour work weeks. Look, you know, in order for things to get better, you got to get better. So you got to up your game, bro. And look at him now. I mean, the guy's got more energy than most of the 20-year-olds. He's running circles around him. He's doing calls I don't even freaking know about. Like, I mean, so you talk about energizing and locking arms with your brother. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's nothing better than actually being able to work with the people that you actually like. And if you don't like your family, then make some new freaking family. But I like my family. My brother's my best friend. He's, you know, he's always been a mentor to me. I've always been his biggest cheerleader. And now to work side by side with him, priceless, as they say. It is absolutely priceless. What was the other part of the question you asked, Lauren? She must have me muted. Well, I will. While she's unmuting, what
I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You know, what's interesting is Jeff saw, you know, he really saw the potential of the tower, but he's always been a capsule shake and bar guy. And I said, look, I'll make you a deal. I'll grow all the food for you, Steph, you know, Eloise, Joanna. Bring anybody you want into the mix. I'll grow the food if you eat it. That's the Pepsi challenge. You know, I don't know if I'm dating myself by saying this, but that's a challenge. And he took the challenge. Mo's shaking her head. She's like, I remember it. So he did it. Look, It don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you dump animal proteins, you dump dairy, you drink half your body weight in water, and you eat a predominantly living food, diet, you're probably going to get healthy. I mean, this is back to basics, guys, and that's what I focus on with folks, is that we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not splitting atoms. People are starting to awaken and realize that they've slowly acquiesced to the idea that we have to rely on big pharma, big medica, big hospital, big this, big that. They don't have your vested interest in hand. They don't. I know, because I was on the inside. That's why I left. You talk about a business story, like, why did I now? Because I didn't want to be part of that problem anymore, where they spend $1 million+ a day in DC lobbying for pharmaceuticals to stay on the market. Can't do it. So I know that, eating, look, the doctor of the future is the farmer. So if you know a farmer, kiss them, because they are the doctor of the future. We're seeing this sort of 180 as far as people starting to go, you know what? This isn't a bad idea. And I've always wanted to grow my own food, but, all the problems involved with it, whether it's the soil, the water shortages. I mean, guys, we know what they are. I heard the latest is by 2050, when the population balloons up over, 10 billion, we're going to need the land mass the size of Brazil to actually grow the food able to support those people. We don't have it. We don't have it. We only have 3% of the Earth's soil that is arable, that is, ability to grow. But here in the U.S., we grow 80% of our crops in a desert. How does that make sense? Most of your food travels 1,000 miles before, it hits your actual mouth or your plate. How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Our jobs are health ambassadors. Those of you that are on the call that get it, understand that the future of healthcare is self-care. Our job is to arm people with the ability to actually go, you know what? Yes, I can. Because, people have been beat down. I mean, show of hands, how many of you know these people or have seen people, family, friends, or otherwise, that have been beat down by that system? Part of our job is to reignite that fire with other people. We're the job of instilling hope into folks. That's very important. And the relationship that you build with people. Look, I've built relationships with schools where they go, this is unbelievable. We didn't know this, technology even existed. I mean, you would have thought I invented fire at a lot of these schools I brought a tower garden to. And then from there, you create that white glove experience. I mean, out of the box, the tower is super awesome. But we've got to be better than awesome, right? Because we want people to go out there and share that freaking tower garden with anybody that will listen. I grew so much produce, I picked up 15 customers just by sending home a bag of produce with the kid. That was real hard. I took my info, stuck it in the bag, sent it home with the kid, got 15 calls the next day. Look, you're only limited by your creativity. People say to me all the time, well, how do I do this? How do I break the code? What is this? Look, lead with your personality. What may work for one person may not work for the other. Be authentic and you can't lose. Lead with your heart and you're always going to win. Focus on other people's needs and you're going to have everything you want. I've got what I want back, the ability to help people and feel good at the end of the day when my head hits the pillow, knowing that I actually moved the needle for people. And that is a huge, huge, huge thing.
I'm just going to take
I
over.
am in a greenhouse. I'm looking at the comments right now from folks. I am in a greenhouse. I actually built a greenhouse. Can you believe this?
Aww.
Do you guys want to take a field trip? I don't know if, Lauren, you've got other questions for me? Or
She has a couple more, but she had to go because she had to board her plane. But yeah, field trip sounds wonderful, and I'll ask those afterwards.
Who's this talking?
Olivia.
Olivia. All right. Don't laugh. I'm going to do it, okay? I'm done.
I have one of those.
We're in Florida. Come on. Look, you know what? You got – listen. I started – I don't care what people think.
I only care what I can actually do for people. You know, if they don't like it, they can just, you know what? The next word you should have in your vocabulary is next, right? So let me flip this around and show you what we're growing. Now, this isn't the norm, right? But I'm not really necessarily normal, and that's an okay thing because, you know, we started out with 1 tower garden, then we went to 3 tower gardens, then we went to 6, then we went to 9, then we went to 10, because we were spending, and here's the deal, guys, and I encourage all of you on the call tonight to actually do this. Sit down with your significant other or whoever that is, maybe it's just yourself, and figure how much you actually spend on produce on a monthly basis. For me and Steph, it was about $12K a year. And there's, by the way, one of our sugar pumpkins coming on. I lost count of the pumpkins at 62. So we've got 6, not pumpkins, correction, sugar watermelons. We do have pumpkins because I'm excited about those. We've got 3 different types of watermelons, but we were spending $12K a year on produce that typically goes bad within 36 hours. How many of you, show of hands, have had that experience where you buy that $4 or $5 bag of, you know, mixed herbs, and the next thing you know, you go in to make a mojito, and what's wrong? The stuff's bad. I mean, are you kidding me? $6 for a tub of arugula. How does that make sense? I mean, I love pesto. You know, I'm Italian. I love it. Put it in my sauce, put it, you know, in pretty much anything, put it in the smoothie in the morning. I always say to folks, grow you what you eat and eat what you grow. And look, we're surrounded by abundance and health. We just have to make that conscious choice to actually do it, to actually be part of the solution and not the problem. So I'm surrounded right now by all this produce, and it's like an amazing experience still. So for those of you that are starting out with a tower, I always say, look, before you start introducing it to big projects like schools, at least have 3 cycles of growing under your belt. Understand how to deal with things like aphids, or how to deal with root rot, or when's the best time to pick your lettuce, you know, or what does this mean right here? And I left this on purpose just to show folks. Let me see if I can get the light right on it. You know, what do these spots mean? Because I'm going to give you a pro tip. Let's say you go into a middle school and you have no idea what any of that means, and the whole thing just unravels very quickly. You're going to have 9,000 angry parents realizing that you're the one. You're that person that brought the tower garden that didn't do their due diligence. So just understand that tower gardening is a different conversation than capsule shapes and bars, because it just is. And you have to know that. And you have to know your audience. What are their actual barriers? Here's what I say to folks. Take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth and listen. Listen to what that person's actual needs are, and then help them solve those needs. Does that make sense to everybody? Show a heads up, heads down, yes, no? Absolutely, cool. So this is just 4 of our towers. I mean, you know, you can see it's kind of nutty. But we have great tower to table events. That's part of our DMO. Once a month, we'll have at least, you know, if they're within 3 feet of me, I invite them to a tower to table event. They get to eat. You know, food's a big draw, especially fresh food. That's a huge draw. And if you got a little alcohol, so be it. But you make it fun. I mean, my God, people are looking to be part of something bigger than themselves. And if you could teach someone how to take ownership of their food, how to be the boss of that, look, we've let so many people become the boss of this and the boss of that, that it's time for us to say, you know what? There's no more business as usual. You know, I'm not going to spend big store whole wallet prices for crappy produce. I'm going to grow my own. You know, whether you're in Florida, you're up north, been there, done that, which is another great side story. You know, Lauren started with, why now with the business? You know, we were very blessed to be able to pick up our life. We live in Florida and spend the last 18 months outside of New York City, letting our 12-year-old chase her dream of being in a huge production at the New York Public Theater. I couldn't do that with a brick and mortar business. Absolutely not. I said, let's pack up and go. Not even a judgment call. Priceless. You can't put a price on that. So at the end of the day, not only are you sharing health and, you know, creating a future generation of healthy eaters when it comes to sharing this with people in the schools, but I'll tell you what, like I said, if that doesn't move the health needle, and that's our kitchen right there, and I wake up every morning and look out that window and see these towers, you need to check up from the neck up if that doesn't move the needle. So I'll open it up for questions, Olivia, if people have them. Happy to take them.
Sure. I know Nicole Hall has a question, so I'm going to unmute her. Give me 1 second. All right, Nicole, go ahead.
Hi. Hey, Jonathan, being that I live in Sarasota, can I come down sometime and see your tower gardens?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. And I'm also looking into getting a water grant for some schools to get tower gardens. Do you know of like a direct contact locally here to look into to getting water grants?
I'm going to go into grants in general. And here's my word of advice.
Okay.
This is just me, okay? So you guys take this for whatever it's worth. I don't do grants.
Okay.
I just don't do them. You know why? Because for me, it just doesn't make sense. Because here is what I would suggest for you to focus on. Instead of figuring out how to, you know, where to go, write grants, and you have no exposure or experience with it, why would you want to do that? You don't want to do that. You go and do what I like to say is find the cross-pollinators. So get the pad, the pen, the paper. This is important. I'm going to give you the 5 top tips to actually influencing the conversation in schools, community centers, you know, nursing homes, you know, assisted living places. Have a good ground game, number 1. Do your research. Find out who's 3/4 of the way there. What do I mean by that? They're going to get it. They're intuitively going to get the idea that growing your own vegetables, feet from where you're going to consume it, just makes sense. Okay? So do a little Magnum PI work first. Find out who's got that sustainability plan, who's got that green plan, who's already got a powerful PTA or PTO, moms on a mission that will make it happen. But importantly, also who can stroke a check. You follow?
Yeah.
Listen, there's money in schools and districts. You just got to be smart enough to know where it is. So you've got to bring your conversation to people who are actually going to understand what you're bringing to them. And many people go about it in the way where I'm going to write a grant. I'm going to wait for them to get back to me on a response. And in that time, I've already sold 15 tower gardens.
Right.
You follow?
Yeah.
So find out who's 3/4 of the way there. And like I said, I always recommend to our frontline folks, have at least 3 or 4 growing cycles of your own personal tower under your belt before you actually start sending it out to the masses. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You
Okay.
got to skin your knees. You know, you got to skin your knees. You got to figure out, oh my God, I've got a boatload of aphids and I have no idea what to do with it. Now the school's calling and they're red flagging things. True story. This can happen. It didn't happen to me, but I know distributors that have completely imploded because they took a tower garden into a situation where they thought they were going to be altruistic, but they didn't know what they were doing. So know what you're doing.
Okay.
The second thing with schools is I'm a big believer in the idea that there's no substitute for the real thing. So when I set a meeting with a school or a community center or wherever it may be, church, pick it. I mean, I'm everywhere. That's another thing. Make yourself a moving target because I'm freaking everywhere. I mean, that's part of this changing the conversation is as a thought leader, you've got to put yourself out there. Get yourself out in front of people. If they don't like your message, go to the next person. They just didn't get it. You know, I think someone said, I don't know who that was, you know, no for now doesn't mean no forever, just no for now, right?
Right.
So you just keep moving. You keep moving. You keep getting it out there. You keep having events. Keep consistent. You know, those are the big things. And then I'm a big believer in bringing a tower to the actual school. So guess what we'll do? Well, we've got a VW Bug. We load the tower up in the Bug. We take it over to the school. The meeting's set. I set the people that make decisions. I'm there 10 minutes. It's in the afternoon. Holy cow, I've got another meeting I got to get to. Would you mind if I picked up the tower in the morning? Sure, that's no problem. Not a problem at all. Cool.
Wow.
You come back about 11 o'clock, and you always know you got them, that they're in love, that they've just got that passion. When the thing is all beat up, chewed on, picked on, branches ripped off of it, because I don't just grow towers, I show towers. So I bring the best looking freaking tower I possibly can. With spearmint, mint, things that kids are going to actually chew on and get curious about. I mean, that's what you want. And usually, you know what their next question is? How quickly can I get 9 of them here?
Okay. Okay. That's awesome.
There's no substitute for the real deal. I keep my presentation super, listen, I say less, you know, I show them some pictures. I show them, you know, what's possible. And I say, look, this is scalable. It's 21st century plug and play technology that we've, you know, partnered with folks from NASA and the top educational leaders. And this is the next best thing right here for growing. So that 3/4 of the way part is where most people have the challenge. Become Magnum PI. I mean, I hope I'm not dating myself again. Because, you know, do a little investigative work. People are shaking their head going, yeah, you actually are. You know, who's the CSI? You know, a little more CSI. Do your homework. Have a good ground game, you know. You know, don't do 1,000 things trying to figure out what sticks. Just do a handful of things 1,000 times over. It's that repetition that leads to the beauty of this spreading like wildfire. I mean, for example, MTV called me 3 months ago, out of the blue. I mean, I can share this now because they told me I could. I didn't know that there was a show called, you know, I mean, you know, MTV used to actually play music. How many of you remember that when they actually did play music, and now it's just a bunch of reality shows? No, I see a lot of hands going up. Now it's all reality shows. So long story short, they call me. It's for the True Life. They want to do an episode on someone that wants to get really healthy. And I said, how'd you guys find out about me? Well, we saw all the stuff you're doing on the internet. You're everywhere. And I said, I'd love to work with her. So they did all the pre-production, all the taping. So serendipitously, I get in front of, you know, now 2.5 million people that watch this show on a weekly basis just by doing the do, okay? It's not about trying to figure out what someone else is doing and trying to duplicate it. Lead with your heart, lead with your personality, lead with your passion. Go in with so much enthusiasm that they can't say no. Puppy dog them. Leave that tower overnight. I mean, look, think outside of the box. I mean, a month ago, I did an interview. I haven't even let this out of the bag yet either.
We did an interview with the top functional medicine doctor in the world, and we'll be putting that out on iTunes that folks like yourselves can use to share about what the tower is. What is it actually? Great podcast, less than 30 minutes that someone can listen to in their net time. So it's all about getting the message out there. Flood it. Make yourself a moving target. Next question. Come on, someone's got to have something.
What do you actually do for root rot?
Root rot, I pull the plant. If it's small, I pull it and replace it. We grow close to 300 to 500 seedlings a month because, you know, that's the hardest part. Your pen should be going to paper again. The hardest part and where most customer experiences fail is in the seedling phase.
Yeah.
Most people say, oh, watch the video on how to germinate your seeds. Well, that's all good and stuff, but if you've got zero experience in growing, you're SOL. So what do? We give them the first set of seedlings for free. White glove experience. It's an out-of-the-box experience. It's awesome, but you want to make awesome just an entry point. So we give them that first set of seedlings. We create an experience around that tower garden that blows freaking people's minds, where they're having that summer barbecue, they're having that summer birthday party, and they're grilling and chilling, and they're having a good time, and that tower's exploding, and everybody's going, wow, what is that thing? I gave them such great customer experience. I just got 10 new tower garden customers. You follow? Use your time wisely. Work smarter, not harder. Stick with the fundamentals. You know, root rot, pull the plant, put another one in. You know, in general, like for us, we've skinned our knees so much. That's how we've learned this. I actually experiment with things with the tower just to figure out and anticipate a problem so I know how to deal with it. You follow? Like at this point, because it's become such a door of entry for me, which then leads to children's health study. Because people say to me, well, towers are awesome. You know, they're great. You know, PVC's good. And, you know, it's all warm and fuzzy. And touch it and taste it and feel it. But what about getting people on, you know, the capsules? Don't you think if you have a good experience with a tower garden that I just might have created some trust in a relationship? Remember, we're in the business of building long-term relationships with people. And I'll tell you, that's very easy to do when you give them that white glove experience. So know that going in. You know, you've got to pregame your game. You've got to be playing the long game and understand that when you create an experience for a customer, you're creating a friend for life. Treat them like a friend. Treat them, I would say family, because I know some people have rifts with their family, so treat them like a friend. Treat them like you love them. And I'll tell you what, they're going to share and care and love on you, and it's just a reciprocal thing, and that's what people are looking for. I mean, here's the cover of the magazine I just got in the mail the other day. Healing World. And what has she got? She's got a plant. Well, isn't that interesting? Listen, guys, I'm going to go full circle. Self-care is the new healthcare. You know, 1 in 3 meals is eaten with a device in hand or in the car. We've all been out at a restaurant before and seen people. They're all sitting at the table. What are they doing? They're all on their device. You know, nobody's making eye contact. This whole augmented reality we live in. Part of our job is to change that. Get people connected again. They want to be part of something. We've got that something. You've just got to have the courage, the strength, and the hope to share that with other people. You know, for me, that's my why. That's what gets me up in the morning. That's why more days than not, I start to lose my voice just like this. Because I talk to people, and some might get it, some don't, but eventually maybe they tell their friends about this wacky doctor that's turned farmer and said, you know, holy cow, we've got people that had diabetes, they don't have it 3 months later. Or, you know, what they call the NCDs, these non-communicable diseases. These are the killers, guys. Those are the ones that are knocking people out. Number 2 is medical errors in the hospital. Look it up. I mean, besides heart disease and cancer, the 2 big killers are NCDs and medical mistakes in the hospital. People dying of going into the hospital. These superbugs. I choose not to go to the hospital. So, next question. How much time do we have left, by the way? We're at 10:14.
Yes, I think actually Lauren had asked, I guess why it's important to make it to conference and why it's important to attend. I think those are
good place. Yeah, I got a little derailed there. I got a little fired up. You can see it's hard for me to kind of contain the excitement. You know what I mean? I know people are getting a laugh off of it, but let me tell you what. When you've got a doctor coming in and saying, look, you know, I'm going to shake the shit out of you until you actually figure this out. That's what conference is about. Seeing the big picture. The fact that we've got 6,000 to 8,000 people all doing the same thing, moving that needle, making a difference in individuals and kids and families and communities by getting back to basics, getting them part of that culture so they understand it. We can tell them about it. We can show them the videos and the outtakes and all the good stuff. But I'll tell you one thing, just like the tower, there's no substitute for the real thing. So getting to conference is a non-negotiable. You've got to be there and bring your all-star team with you. You know, like I said to my new front line, I mean, I had people going to VF in less than a week, and I said, look, you get the plane ticket, I'll get the hotel room. You put some skin in the game, you've already shown you've got potential. I want you to see what's really up. Because I remember my first conference. I remember it really well. I don't remember a lot of what the doctor said or all the technical stuff or this or that. But I remember how it made me feel. I remember that I said, you know what? I've never seen anything like this. People actually locking arms and working together, or people that have been in the business for 30 freaking years are still trying to help people on their first day. Sign me up, I'm in. That's why you got to get to conference. That experience of that is absolutely priceless. So marching orders should be is get with your people that are on the move. Get them excited about going to conference. Tell them what your experience was, how it made you feel. I'll leave you with this. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. And when you can emotionally get to a person that helps them, you know, that can leverage them and jolt their thinking, you got them. You've got them changed. You're healing the world one person at a time. So whether it's the big picture or the long game, getting the conference is an absolute essential. So did that help, Olivia? And I see you going, yes, you got to unmute yourself over there.
Yes, it did. And it's, I think the really cool thing is our team, and as well as Roberti Cortese, we really go the extra mile to plan really awesome activities for you guys. So I know Lauren.
Are you kidding me? I mean, not just awesome, but really great. Look, I like the fact that we're the envy of all the other teams, that they're like, holy shit, man, this guy's got it on lock. They're having fun. They're high-fiving. They're doing stuff outside of the conference. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't even know what to say, but yeah, if you're not there, you need, once again, a checkup from the neck up, because it is absolutely not only the content, the experience, the culture,
but just there's something about being part of that and having fun. I'm gonna leave you with this, and I said I was gonna leave you with the other, but I'm gonna leave you with this one. Someone said to me 2 days ago, he goes, Jonathan, what do you do? He's looking at my Facebook profile. He goes, oh, I see you doing. It's like having fun and freaking playing with plants and hanging out with kids and smiling. And I said, exactly. When they can't tell the difference between you playing and working, you're doing it right. You know what I mean? So that's what people want. You know, listen to what people's barriers are. You know what I mean? Listen to, you know, we're all about knocking down barriers. And when you listen and you listen with intention to solve that problem, you take that cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth and actually listen, it becomes a very easy situation. Any questions from anybody else?
Hey, Jonathan, I just wanted to say I have 11 towers now, and I have them in my school, and this is my classroom bulletin board with, you are what you
Love
eat.
it.
Don't be a ding-dong or an airhead.
I love it. Well, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and that one's a good one. What grade?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten?
And
Yeah.
last year, I had kindergartens eat the kale all the way down to nubs because they were playing giraffe. So that
Wow. Oh,
they had
wow.
their hands behind their back and they ate it.
You
And
know
went,
what we did? You know what we did? Which is, I love what you're doing. It reminds me of something we did. Someone said to me the other day, you know, how many schools you have? And I said, I lost count. We do it by district now.
wow.
And I said, you know, it's not, you know, I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon you that there is a wide open market. Work together, guys. Share the love, but share the concepts of people, you know, and don't give up. And, you know, your picture back there is worth 1,000 words. I share this one with people as well. I don't know if you can see it. This is a good one. So let's see if I can be smart enough to figure this out. So you can see the plant on the, that would be your left, I think.
Yeah.
The one that looks anemic is the one that my 80-year-old neighbor, who has 50 years of gardening experience, grew. This is after 6 weeks, by the way. He said, there's no way that tower garden thingy can grow better jalapenos than mine. I said, all right. So we started at the same time. And then there's mine on the other side. Of course, you can kind of see the difference, you know. Nice, healthy root ball. Mine already has fruit on it. I won. So I won the salsa challenge for the summer. He had to make me salsa for the entire summer. That was the bet. I mean, it's about whatever you make it. You know, make it fun. You know, and guess what? He bought a tower garden. He loves it. He's freaking he's growing more jalapenos and habaneros, stuff that is way off the heat chart that I can't eat. And he's having a great time with it. He's sharing it with other people. 80 years old, 50 years doing it the same way in soil. Physical problems. Now he's shared it with other people that are, you know, 70, 80, 90 years old that don't want the bending, the stooping, the kneeling, the shoveling, all the crap that goes along with regular gardening. I mean, why do you think most teachers fail at having an earth box? They'll do it for 6 months, but then after that, they're like, I don't have time for this. It's cold outside. It's hot outside. I mean, they lose interest in it. So the tower garden is really optimal. I mean, the fact that, you know, I'm looking around, you guys are wondering what I'm looking for. The fact that my tools are a pair of scissors and a pH meter, it doesn't get much simpler than that.
Cool.
So good for you for sharing it in the schools. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Good up.
Our best experiment was the cucumber in the ground and the cucumber in the tower on the same day. And when I had my first full cucumber on the tower was the day the first blossom came out in the ground.
That's awesome. Now keep it up. And I'll tell you, because there's something to be said about when a kid cannot identify any of the 20 or 28 plants and you give them less than a day and they could tell you every plant in that tower garden. Do you not think that changes the culture at the school? And teachers start to perk up like prairie dogs and go, oh, this guy actually might be onto something. And then you actually see teachers losing 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 15 pounds, because they're not eating the vending machine lunch anymore. Or they're not bringing the leftovers from freaking P.F. Chang's the next day. They're actually cutting stuff off the tower and making a great salad. It changes cultures, and that is the power of that tower.
We did salad in a jar parties from the towers every Tuesday.
Awesome. That is really, really cool. Who has other questions? I see a lot going on in the chat here. Let me see if I can.
Hey, Jonathan,
smart
Joey.
enough to actually do this. What was that?
Hey, I was just saying it's Joey over here.
Hey, Joey.
Yeah, I had a question for you. You know what? I was really thinking my neighbor's got an aquaponics system, and I was thinking about actually throwing some neutral water in my tower and throwing a couple goldfish in there to see what it would have. You heard of anyone doing that?
I've heard of a couple people doing it, and they had very lackluster results with it.
Okay.
So, you know, it's not something that I really would take on myself as a personal thing, because what I do know is that the human body is very similar to the you know, physiology of a plant. So I'll use this example that the fish get sucked into the pump. I hadn't actually thought of that. That is a good point. But here's the deal is that, you know, we want to keep our bodies alkaline, right? You know, acid craves acid. You know, the more acidic you are, the more unhealthy you are, the more fertilizer that is for cancer. And plants are the same way. That's why we have that sweet spot between 5.5 and 7 that we want to keep our plants in for them to have that optimal growth. So with fish in play, I don't know how that works with the pH, then subsequently with the pH. You follow where I'm going with this, Joey? So my advice is to not do it, but certainly you could try it if you've got more than one tower garden.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Good one, good one. All right, guys. Well, you know what? I'm open to take a couple more questions. Let's see, what time is it here? Olivia, how are we doing?
We're good. It's about, 7:30 almost. So if anyone has a quick question or comment or anything, please let us know. But I do want to respect Jonathan's time as well as everyone else's, because I know it's late for you over there. You're 3 hours ahead.
Yeah, I get up about 5 o'clock. You know,
Oh my goodness.
Stuff.
Hey, it's Mo. I just want to make sure that everybody that's on this call knows about Jonathan's Zoom call that he has on Sundays. So, Jonathan, give yourself a plug.
You know what? I forgot about that. So for the last 18 months, we've been the only distributor actually in North America that's held a dedicated tower garden call every Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern time. You can find out about that, but because I have not perfected cloning technology yet, I haven't put up the event yet on our page. Our page is Vertical Sundays Life, and so that's where our events are scheduled. We do one every Sunday. Every week it's a little bit different, but always contains that core essence, the power of the tower, and a lot of times we'll focus on DIYs or how to create tower to table, or, we may even have an event going on, happens that's that Sunday. So look, definitely join that call, but more importantly, learn how to create calls too for your own group, your own tribe. I mean, I love having people on my call, so please join it, but with the eye toward thinking, I can do this too. If this ordinary guy can do it, I can do it too. Because I think a lot of times we sell ourselves short as people. We've been kind of sold that this is as good as it gets. It really isn't. So I will leave you with that, is that it's very important for us to continue sharing our knowledge with other people. you know, I kind of consider it an honor, you know, and also a duty to be able to share this. I would be doing people a huge disservice if I didn't share this with people, because these are just simple. All we're doing is applying some health providing lifestyle modifications, some simple things that people can do just to tweak their daily routine that can make huge drastic changes in their life. So hopefully this has added some value to you, and let's hope that Lauren gets to, I think we should go on to Fiji, right?
Yes,
Yep.
Fiji. Yep.
They're safe, and see everybody at conference, St. Louis. I mean, countdown is on, so think about what you're going to do between now and then to get your troops and your people fired up and get your butt in one of those chairs, because it's just that important.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will send you this call, everyone. I'll post it tomorrow, both to our YouTube and our Facebook. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you at conference and everyone else as well.
Absolutely. All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Jonathan.
Have a
Thanks,
great rest of the
Jonathan. You're
week.
the best, man. Great
All
stuff.
right.
Appreciate it. Awesome passion.